right, welcome back to another fantasy video with me, JD. You're joining me for the round 20 review. Really should probably organize like a proper fantasy video intro at some point if I'm gonna keep doing these in the future, but it is what it is. All right, so my week was saved pretty heavily by one Mason Redman, and that's why we've activated Redman Vision this week. If you want the full context, watch the Supercoach video. You probably already do if you're on my channel. I don't know if I've got too many pure fantasy players here, but if you are, welcome. Good to have you. So yeah, moved from 20th this week to 12th overall. Nice little rank jump, and that's all because. Can I go back to last round? I just don't like the black and white color. So Cogs out was a forced trade, and the options here really were Rosie, Moore, and Marshall. Marshall was the one that I pretty much took off the list straight away because they had Campbell playing as well. If Campbell wasn't playing, I'm pretty sure he's the one I would have picked, which is quite frustrating because that's what was it, 60 points, 40 points that I lost out on just because of that. How much did Marshall score? Went 53k up, 63. Wow, so 65 points lost because of that. That's really annoying, quite unlucky. Going to cost me a lot of money to get him in this week. And then I went more over Rosie just because it's like went with the crowd on this one. Usually when you don't have enough time to think these things through, like I don't mind going with the crowd because crowd wisdom sometimes is like really good. I was more leaning towards Rosie just because of the fixture, but more saved his second half with the 98. But wasn't a great game from him. But I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I would still rather have Rosie here, I think. But I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I don't know. We'll see. And then the second trade, I mean, I was always getting into Stewart this week. The big question was whether it was Redman coming off that internal bruising or Short. So yeah, had the inside word from a friend of Redman's that he was gonna be sore, but he was gonna get up and play. So with no cover, I had the confidence to trust in that mate. Get rid of Short, who I was worried about, even if he went behind the ball. Brisbane are really hard to score against, and they've got Port the week after, another really hard team to score against, where Redmond had a much nicer draw. So I thought even if he is playing sore, he'd be able to put in some good scores, especially given that he came off COVID 3 weeks ago and managed to go massive with that as well, like a 143 or something coming off COVID. So he can play through some niggles and do well, and he was amazing. A very complete game, intercept marking, took some kick-ins, kicked a goal, did some great defensive stuff as well. Like, don't take that for granted. It was very good defensively too. It wasn't like some of the other loose defenders. He was on a man the whole game and still managed to put up the score, which is phenomenal. Very pleased with Redmond. And then Stewart, not the best game from him, just the 96, but I think he'll be fine. And he showed some of his scoring potential. Got Saints, Suns, and Eagles, and I think he can kind of go big in all these. I don't think the Saints would tag him. I mean, they've been using Windhager as a tagger. I just don't think it makes sense that they'd send him to Stewart. They've more been using him around the ball. Suns haven't tagged, and West Coast haven't tagged. So, yeah, should have 3 pretty good games. I thought he would go much bigger than this against the Dogs, so 96 a little bit disappointing, but it is what it is. So let me go back to now with the full colors. Let's go. And then just last round scores. So Redman out over Short was something like a high 50s point gain, which is really nice. I'm now only, what am I, 644? I am 11 points behind 10th. And looking at some of these teams, like still has Sicily, Crisp, and Short in defense. I've got rid of all of them now. Rob, not great. Darcy needs to get rid of. Taranto hasn't been good either. So there's lots of picks I've already moved on that these teams still have. Yep, see, same defense here as well. Bruce in the rucks, which didn't score well. But already has Marshall. That's a leg up on me. What about ninth? Yeah, like Lloyd, not a great option. Crisp, Sicily, got rid of those. Wits has been okay. What's that? Are they missing a forward? So they're waiting to be taken over. Wow. They must be not scoring well. They only scored 1 point less. How? What? I'm so confused by this. Oh, they've Cogs. Did McComb score well? Oh, no, did Jeffrey score well? No, he was outright Roses played. 65 is not too bad. I guess like I had lots of 60s, so I mean, what Bailey Smith only scored 4 more. That explains why. But yeah, okay, this is okay. Yep, still got the 3 bad defenders. Okay. So yeah. So just quickly going through the team. Go back. Wish this was the default last round score. Doherty junked it up. I don't think he played very well. Dawson was good. Sinclair worked through the tag. Stewart and Mason we've already talked about. And Himmelberg obviously was playing forward for the first half of the game. Terrible. Got moved back and kind of saved his score a little bit, but wasn't a great game. Hopefully they keep him back. And I think I have confidence he'll score okay from there. Otherwise, the defender that I probably would target is Brayshaw, just given that he's back into the midfield. He's scored well there in the past, so that'd be the one that I'd look at, especially with Collingwood this week. Like that is a good matchup for him to score on. So yeah, don't hate the Brayshaw pick this week. Midfield was really good apart from McRae, to be honest. Merritt was insane. Had one of the best second halves I've ever seen. 6 holding the balls, kicked a goal, just tackling, disposals, like doing the works. Inside and out, just like, yeah, really complete game in terms of fantasy. And yeah, wasn't bad from a super coach perspective either. Laird, just a very easy captain or vice captain option each week. I think I had the VC on Steel and a 107, just not enough to keep. So I went in for Laird, which was okay. But yeah, I mean, those that had merit got an extra 42 points, which is pretty wild. Neil's been underperforming, McRae's been underperforming. Brayshaw was very good. Mills was very good. And Miller was pretty good too. Just some concerns over him getting taken out towards the end of that. He was like holding his shoulder earlier in the game and then got clean bowled at the end, and he could have re-injured that shoulder or fallen on his head and been concussed. So a bit of a wait and see and a bit of a watch on that one. Owen's back was good. Got some cover there, which is nice. Not that I plan on using it. Any injuries, just straight traded out, which is exactly what happened with Cogs this week, for example. Oliver the week before. English and Gorn and the Rucks, yeah, they underperformed. I think most of the Rucks did pretty poorly again, unless you had Marshall. All positions Ruck. Yeah, Marshall, Rob wasn't good. Can I go by last round score? Yeah, I mean, 163 was the biggest, and the next was 98, 96 Cameron, and then 93 Darcy. Wow. 85. I mean, Bruce actually outscored a lot of them. It's crazy, but Witz wasn't good. Yeah, I mean, rucks have been really up and down. It kind of makes me wonder if I can trade out one of these rucks, to be honest, for Marshall. But I'm probably going to keep them. I think just like there's not a lot of money on them now, so trading them out's actually awkward. I think somewhat stuck with them. And the forward line, Bontempelli kind of slowed in the second half, and they're obviously using blitz over stoppages. This 65 from Bailey Smith's really confusing to me. I mean, he didn't score well on them last time either. This one here, 63. So I don't know. Cats might just be his kryptonite, and that was obviously the game where he got reported for headbutting Tui. So yeah, I'm not sure. Hopefully he bounces back off that. Time on ground still being low since return, not up in the 90s, which is where we saw him doing his absolute elite scoring. Dunkley had a nice bounce back game, which is good because that is someone I was considering trading on, but I probably won't now. Parker was very good, and we talked a lot about him working very hard for those low 100s. I saw him get a little bit more involved with easy chip mark around the ground. So pretty happy with owning him, especially given that they're against North this week. Where's it at? Fixture, yeah, they're North, Collingwood. Those are two good matchups. Even Saints, the last one's not good. Makes Mills a very easy VC target this week against North with Laird as a captain. I just need to figure out with the scheduling whether I actually have someone I can loophole them with. Sorry, let's just go to the Supercoach. Because they've got, oh, you can't see it's behind me. They've got the game schedule down here. So I'd need someone from Brisbane, Carlton, although it's not great, or West Coast or Adelaide. Ooh. So all I've got is Marchbank. I'd have to make that call a little bit earlier than what I'd like. And it means I wouldn't be able to trade Marchbank this week, which I was somewhat interested in doing. All right, we'll see on that. You'd think Merritt would be the easy option. And he's almost at a nil, by the way. But with potential hashtag, I'm not sure he's the option this week. Yeah, Taranto was no good. He's on the chopping block. And then Dylan Moore, we already talked about. So trades this week. I think Taranto to Marshall's probably the easy one right here. I mean, I could always look at getting Cogs back in if he was playing, but I think Marshall's just a better option if he's solo rucking. Probably the number one trade target. And then I've only got 20k left here, so trading McRae onto someone like Walsh would be interesting. Getting Oliver in against Collingwood would be interesting. Himmelberg to Brayshaw would be interesting, but all these things are out of price for me with 20k. So without there being another obvious option for me to move around, well, Duncan I don't like this option. Rosie was the one I've talked about a little bit. Only one I'd really consider. Yeah, like Cogs or Essendon's been hard to score on, so it's not like I really want someone into Essendon. Part of the reason why I'm moving on Taranto feels fine. So the debutant this week, which would give me cover in defence, which looks like the only position I don't have it, would be Dawson. And to get him, I'd probably move on Marchbank just because it's where it's the most money. Now, the only problem with doing this means I couldn't VC Mills. So I do have to think about whether this is the right option or not this week, but this would be the early trade consideration for me. Leaves me 102k, which means I could move on McRae or Neil next week to someone like an Oliver in one trade, although Oliver's last couple of matches aren't particularly good in Carlton and Brisbane, although he's been pretty matchup proof, to be perfectly honest. So that would be the one that makes the most sense, or it would let me get Himmelberg up to Brayshaw if Himmelberg doesn't do well again. Although, like, really, if you bring in Brayshaw, I think it's got to be this week against Collingwood. The only other thing is, like, I don't have Hall, and Hall is the one that is kind of interesting just because of his ceiling. What's he priced at now? It's going to be low, 691. This is very cheap. I wonder. Okay, this is a crazy thought. I wonder if like Owens and Carmichael do enough this week. If I could do like Owens, Carmichael at 102k to Hall as D7 and then like a 190k rookie. I wonder if I could get there because that I would be interested in for sure. For sure. Well, we'll have to see. Oh, actually, I wonder if I'm not meant to trade Marchbank this week and I actually trade Owens or Carmichael this week. Just because I got so much more money on them, it opens up options for next week. Don't really care about rookie cover that much. It's kind of not that important with rolling lockouts. Also means I can use Marchbank this week for Mills into lead. Can I just undo one trade? Reset trade. So if I do something like Carmichael out instead, I don't have DPP that lets me do that, do I? I mean, I could get someone like Hollins instead, right? Makes me 102k, slightly more. Otherwise, if there's a good debutant, I don't know. This I'll have to weigh up because maybe it's actually meant to be getting rid of Carmichael this week, especially if he's not named again. He's been an amazing sub 2 weeks in a row. Surely he has to get a game. Yeah. Okay, well, that's what I'm weighing up this week. That's where the team's at. Waffled a little bit, sorry. But yeah, just keeping you all informed of where we're at. Obviously, top 10 gets money, so that's what we're aiming for. And for me, the big difference is not having any of Sicily, Crisp, or Short now, which others all have to deal with. So hopefully, this defense setup can give me the advantage on the run home and get me right up into single digit numbers. First year playing fantasy, that would be an amazing result. Amazing result, not going to lie. All right, but thanks for joining me with Redmond Vision, and I will see you all probably next week. All right, peace.